Yes, sir.
Yes.
Market Mondays back live in the flesh.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
Time was had this weekend.
Yeah, man. Shout out to all the fathers, man.
For sure. How was the Red Panda weekend in Houston?
It was a vibe. Shout out to Jolie, had a good time. Shout out to Fran, shout out to Earl, Big J. Camp was a vibe last night. Oh,
shout out to Camp. We always have a good time in there.
Shout out to Camp.
I miss y'all, yo.
You got some rest yesterday?
No, did not. But this is what I tell people. Hey, I did not lose my past. I just learned how to master more things. It's a part of it, right? So even seeing like you on the big billboard, 50 doing this thing, Young Bird came, you know, how they got the promotional thing. I'm like, I was talking to Jay real quick. He was like, got to get good at all of it. Great lesson. You can't be a one-trick pony forever. So for anybody who think I'm gonna turn into like a thotty or a bottle girl, I'm not. But gotta add this to the lexicon of promotional material, you know?
Love it.
For sure.
Love it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
How was your weekend, man?
That was good, man. Shout out to everybody in town. We did the ribbon cutting.
Big town business.
For court that
y'all glowing? What's up?
We was on that sun all day.
For real.
Shout out to everybody that came out. That was dope. Super dope, man. It was lit. Shout out to the Pound, Fred. They had the All-Star games going crazy.
Dope.
Shout out to Benji for the skills competition for the kids. Dave. It was dope. You know, we did, like I said, we did the tennis court, we did the basketball court over. So it was the grand opening for that. They had food, they had music. SP stopped by. Shout out to Styles.
Mm-hmm.
So just a really dope community vibe. And
people pulled up from all over the place.
Yeah,
people just was like, Long Island. I drove in from Jersey. I knew I was going to be here. I wanted to see you.
So
it was real.
Shout out to the 914. That was a dope vibe. And that park's going to be lit all summer. We're going to have summer leagues for the kids, high school summer leagues up there. We're going to try to bring back some of the magic that used to happen up there. So stay tuned, man. Stay tuned. It's a good time, man. But once again, thank you to everybody that came out. And shout out to all the dads that celebrated Father's Day. Yes.
Yeah. That was dope. I had a masseuse come through the crib, bro. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, man. That's how I'm waking up. I said, oh man, okay. That's how we started the day. It was dope, man. So shout out to all the followers. And yeah, Saturday was incredible. I said it there, but to grow up in a place like we were in that park when we were 5 or 6 years old playing, to be like kids playing there and working as young men and then being there as adults and watching basketball and, you know, running programs to now get back in this way is dope, man. So yeah, shout out to everybody in the town for pulling up and let's run it up, man. Let's bring back the feeling. Greenberg, we here.
Right?
Huh?
Bowman pulled up too, right?
Oh, he definitely pulled up. And they made it our day. We got a day now.
Shout out to Jamal Bowman.
Oh, for real? Come on.
We got our own day.
Shout out to Jamal
incredible.
Bowman, for pulling up. And early voting, I think, has started already.
Yes.
So he got a big rally in the Bronx on Saturday with AOC and Bernie Sanders. So that should be
oh wow.
That should be a good turnout. So
what about Cash?
Who?
Cash Cobain.
Cash Cobain's he don't know. I think he's
he gonna be there?
I think that's different.
They got another situation with him.
Another thing with Cash.
Oh, you right, gotta get the youth involved, man.
Gotta get the youth.
Big facts.
Yeah.
Okay. Right,
sure.
So yeah, shout out to
everybody riding this wave. You might as well go ahead and get a couple.
Yo, you hot? Let's go, man. Let me stand next to you.
Facts.
Hey Boogie, where you at?
Yo, Boogie got one.
Hey Boogie with the hoodie.
Facts. Boogie on fire.
Yo, that and him and Cash together. That's a dope.
Hey Boogie with the hoodie.
The Bronx.
Okay, big episode of Earn Your Leisure this week. We got a legend in the game, Brian Michael Cox.
Oh my God, for real?
Yeah.
Yo.
Y'all been working.
For sure. One of the greatest songwriters, producers
ever.
When you talk about Usher, when you talk about so many Mariah Carey, so many legendary R&B acts that have came out over the last 30 years. He's had his hand in a lot of them. He's reinvented himself. Now he got a label. He's doing the R&B only parties in Atlanta. He's working with LRVN. I think he was A&R.
Shout out to them.
So we had a dope conversation about songwriting, publishing, AI, you know, the new wave when it comes to R&B music, how to monetize things, how to have a career in music by not being a star. This is something that's important because it's like Rich Paul showed you how to become a multi-millionaire in the sports world without having to be an athlete, right? A lot of people love music, are talented, but they didn't get their break. They everybody can't be Usher or Chris Brown, but that doesn't mean that you still can't have a living in it, right? There's songwriters, there's producers, there's A&Rs, there's people that do the marketing. There's so many different things. There's so many different roles. If there's one superstar, there's 20 other people that are behind the scenes that you don't know. Yeah. Right. So it's like, especially the songwriting thing. This has come out a lot with the, Drake situation. But when you're talking about publishing,
I gotta throw my man in there, man.
When you're talking about publishing,
it's been I ain't even gonna lie. Ooh.
When you talking about
allegations, ain't got nothing to do with this.
That's 50% of the publishing right there. Whoever writes the song, the other 50% is who actually composes the music. So between the producers and the writers, that's the publishing. So technically, you could be an artist and not get no publishing because if you didn't write the song, you didn't produce it.
Hear what you alluding to?
Nah, I'm just saying. It's just working out the
back segments.
It's working out the business, but it's a dope episode, extremely educational, and he's just a good dude, man. Super good dude. So tap into that, and then of course Blackout. We back. We got some. We're gonna talk about some. We've been covering a lot of topics on Blackout. It's
and all of a sudden they're making it to other shows now.
funny how things work.
Lead topic. I said, oh really?
It's funny how these things work.
So okay, before we start, Invest Fest, we announced today that 19 Keys will be doing his first live broadcasting of high level conversations ever, and that will be with two of the top 3 guests ever, Billy Carson and Yaki Awaken. Between those episodes, he has 3 episodes with Billy Carson, one with Yaki, 13 million views on YouTube between those. So
yeah, I was gonna say more.
13 million. I looked it up this morning.
Yeah, that sounds low.
Yeah,
13 million. He got Billy Carson got 8 million.
No, he had 9. The first one's at 9.
Yeah, 9 million.
Yeah. So the second,
So look, legendary conversation.
Yaki dope too. That's gonna be a great conversation.
Yeah, Cook. I think his episode's like 3 million, 3.5 million.
3.5, yeah.
So
that stage levitate, yo.
We might float up out of there.
That's the highest level. That's gonna be the highest level right there. That's gonna be one of them ones, man.
We're gonna float up.
So that's gonna be on Saturday. What time?
Not we haven't
it out. Red Panda family, get there early. I'll be there early.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned, please. Thank you.
But Keys, we know Keys gonna cook. That's gonna be a hell of a conversation. So get your tickets. Of course, we got the marathon pop-up. We announced that last week. Shout out to Sam. Shout out to the whole team. That's gonna be dope. Their first pop-up in Atlanta in 10 years. And then let alone the Steve Stouts, the Ian Dunlap, the Steve Harvey's, the
Will Packers, Will I Am, Wyclef Jones.
Man,
that's a lot.
Vegan. Shout out to Pinky Cole will be in the building.
How many films has Will Packer done? Like that alone could be a headline.
I got a phone call the other day. They said, look, man, we're going to not pretend like this dude didn't do $2 billion in the box office. $2 billion. That's not, we can't sneeze at that. We can't sneeze at that.
Damon John.
The real shot.
Legend.
Man, it's so crazy. Don Peebles. So crazy. And of course we keep a bullet in the chamber. So
that's more than a bullet.
You know how that.
When y'all going?
No, that's more than a bullet. We ain't gonna. That's a.
They told me those episodes got 17 million. 17 combined.
That feels more accurate.
Get your tickets at investfest.com. August 23rd to August 25th in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, Ian, any announcements?
Yes, thank you to everyone who came out to Red Panda Weekend. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to Cam. Shout out to Antonio. Jay, Earl, whole A-Life family. Jay, I love y'all dearly. Y'all are family with me. Can't wait to do it again. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. If you want to get rich, we'll talk about it tonight, but go to ianinvest.com. Love y'all dearly. Happy belated birthday to Ebony. Ebony has been with me in Stock Club, and we went to college together at IU, but she's been with me since 2019. I'm proud of you. She's also the one that helped, the GMA situation when we went earlier this year, so I want to give her praise. Happy belated birthday to Tupac, and let's have an amazing show. I had a good time this weekend. Cannot wait to do it. I wish y'all was there, man. It was a vibe last night.
We showed
that blackout. So you mean if I date you, like I can take a girl's trip, baby? You can do whatever you want.
This is the girl's trip. You're on it.
For real. You can do whatever you want.
Blackout. Heavy in the streets. Disclaimer.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the Red Panda family, and shout out to all our earners, man. Shout out to everybody that pulled up to the class last week. That was incredible. These things are becoming like bigger than lecture halls, the amount of people that are pulling up. So shout out to everybody that's executing on information. And happy birthday. I know it's Gemini season. Happy birthday to my sister-in-law, Alana. Today's her birthday. And then shout out to Val. Val's birthday is this week. That's like our little sis. So shout out to her. And as you know, do your own research, y'all. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important that you do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you find on our show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. People continue to do the research, continue to execute on the research, and then spread love. When you got something, that's positive that you can share, throw it back to the community, man, so everybody can benefit. Love is love.
All right.
When they glowing like this and in unison and happy, something about to drop. Rashad ain't been a Shook Shotty Mo about 8 weeks. Oh my gosh. And did y'all see that report that came out this morning that Ozempic is causing brands to downsize clothing?
Damn.
So I just thought it was an interesting fashion take. Like people acting like they're still not taking Moderna or Ozempic, but it's happening.
Ozempic is going crazy. Wegovy is right. I'm seeing more of those commercials now. They got both, and they own, and I think we're gonna talk about the Novo owns both of them. So
let's talk. Let's talk about Nvidia. That's what people want to know. Okay, so what should we do if Nvidia does not get to the $107 price?
Wait for 112. Only you. Listen, you can buy at a high. Full disclaimer, you can do whatever you want to do, right? But if you want better returns, so I met a brother at Friends on Friday from Nvidia. Shout out to the brother. I ain't gonna give out too much information. Based out of San Antonio, paid off his cattle ranch, brought a brand new Panamera, brand new Rolex, and is up a couple $1 million from Nvidia. His message to everyone who says they don't want to listen: do whatever you want to do, but I got rich from listening to Ian. Cool. Wait for 112, 107. For everyone in the comments who like, yo, I don't think it's going to go down that far. Maybe I know something that you don't know. But if you want to buy it right now today, great. When it draws down 8 or 13%, don't be mad. If you hold for the long term, you'll be good. But it's better to buy based off of a price pullback than buying based off of emotion. It should get to 112. With no issue. 107 if it gets there. 107.77. Load up. You'll be good. But I think it's really important to learn how just to take direction opposed to self-sabotaging and talking yourself out of a great position. Like, remember we was on that call 2 years ago and old boy argued the call is too expensive, and he probably lost 40 grand.
40.
Now, I don't know how much money he was starting with.
This is true. This is true. So
not listening will cost you. So be careful.
Yeah, I think I spoke about this the other day, and it was one of those learning lessons that you get when you're inside of the game and you're investing, is that sometimes you got to modify. Like, yes, you have your strategy and you have your plan, but sometimes you got to deviate. And so, yeah, it sucks when you watch a stock like Nvidia and you're like, when am I going to find my entry point? Well, this is when you might need to modify, right? So yeah, it's trading around 130. Usually, I like to see a 15 to 20% pullback, right? Yep. So that means that every time that it goes up, my new calculation is 15 to 20%. So if I don't see the 107 because it ran to 137, well, what's 15% from there? right? Then if it goes to 15, maybe it hits 20. Now that's my entry point. Obviously, we don't want to buy at the high, but we don't want to miss the boat too, right? And so we just got to modify and adjust. I spoke about it with Broadcom, and I had the call ready to go. It didn't hit my one of my measurements or criteria to invest, and obviously we saw it go up $250 the next day. Same thing with Chipotle over the past 2 years, and so it's modified. But yeah, just understand what your plan is, right, and then modify as you go. So if it doesn't get to 107, okay, it may not get back there. But what is the 15%? What is the 10% mark? Where's the 15% mark? Where's your entry at?
I mean, also some of y'all were like, okay, it won't get to 107. What about the 107 motherfucking episodes you missed of the show?
That part.
¿Qué quieres? No, como se dice, why you miss out? Watch the show every week. Information now is coming out, even on Blackout. The Fauci thing heating up. Now all of a sudden, a whole bunch of media reports are putting out the little fake moon landing clips again. Come on, man. Just follow. I know everybody want to have fun in the summer, but stay focused on getting it back. The information is here. And
then also, I mean, if you dollar cost average, then that doesn't. You don't have to wait for a pullback.
And buy every month.
Yeah.
Super simple. Can we say investing is really easy? We're giving you the stocks. We're outperforming whatever other investment shows out there by a landslide. Cool. Just follow the blueprint. You're good. Or you can join Red Panda and then you get 3 or 4 prices of where to buy in. Easy fix.
Easy peasy. Okay. So let's talk about Bill Ackman, right? He's been in the news a lot for the last 12 months. So he's planning to take Pershing Square public next year. What's the potential implications for investors?
I like Bill, but I think the timing is a little bit too late. I don't know if he, at one point, and anybody who's called the next Buffett usually does not end up being that. But at one point, they were deeming him to maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago, to be the next Buffett. That hasn't panned out. He's done incredibly well, but I don't know if people like him. From a competitive landscape, I think people are like Michael Saylor a little bit more. At one point, Kathy was a lot more popular. So I think it's every investor's dream to have something go public. But I don't know if the sentiment is there that people love him how they used to. So right idea, but I think wrong timing. And the performance hasn't been so enormous that it's almost like you have to go public at this time. So like I said, right idea, wrong timing, and the sentiment. What Draymond told our boy on the bench, or Paul, who was a Paul Pierce? People don't love you like that. Like, it's cool. 8 years ago,
they don't love you like that.
Yeah, they don't love you like that. Like, the timing is off. Wall Street doesn't love him as much. We've seen Icon Enterprises, ticker IEP, go through the ringer as well. And at the time when there's a clash again from rich to poor, retail investor versus institutional, I don't think now is the best time to do so.
Yeah, I think when you think about hedge funds going public, Icon, I think that's what you emulate and that's what you look at in terms of how it can be done. But I agree with you. When you're talking about the performance, when we talk about hedge funds, this one is, I think they said that it's managing around 18 billion in assets, and so he's trying to sell a 10% stake, which would put him at around $1 billion, if so. But I'm looking at the holdings of the top 6 holdings inside of it. I mean, you hit a home run, right? Chipotle has been incredible. It's performed incredible. They have over 743,000 shares. The next largest holding is Alphabet, right? They have 9.5 million of Class C and 4.3 of Class A. And then it gets like, okay, restaurant brand. It's like, okay, well, people know that's a parent of Burger King. If you don't, Hilton Hotels, that could be murky, depending, but travel has picked up. And the next 2, I'm just like, if these are your top 6, it's why are we doing this? Like, why are we feeling like this is something that we need to invest in? You got Canadian Pacific Railway, and they own 15 million shares of that, and then they have Howard Hughes, which is a real estate company position that hasn't really performed that well over the past 3 to 4 years. So the top 2, I mean, you're heavy at the top, Chipotle,
Stellar.
and then it's kind of like, It's a little shaky.
Smoking on what top 5?
Right. That top 6 ain't really like something that's
not
like,
there.
oh, well, we definitely need to
Definitely not beating 2 Tech 2 index. No, sorry.
Yeah, so it's just interesting. Yeah, you're right. Like I think the sentiment around him, it's becoming. He's known. I don't even know if people even understand that he's known for this is what he does, but he's been known for, what was happening on college campuses around the Israel-Gaza conflict. Some of the things he's been saying around that
timing,
right? So yeah, the timing of it is, I don't know if it's great for him.
Yeah, and especially in a post-crypto world, to have very little crypto exposure. Of course, he had a moment on CNBC during COVID, and okay, great. Companies may not have done that well post as well. So, famed investor, somewhat of an inspiration. Bad timing though. Bad timing. Yeah. So.
Okay. So I was listening to Bloomberg the other day. Hit the like button and share.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Oh, you in a good mood. You ready for this drop? I'll be watching sentiment. I do like you do. I just survey the room. Boy, y'all look happy. And I'm happy for y'all.
Au revoir.
Everybody asking me all weekend, who's going to be at InvestFest? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I was quiet the whole weekend. But deep down, I wanted to say, but I won't. But go ahead.
Appreciate it. Yeah. I was watching Bloomberg, and they was talking to the ambassador from Taiwan to America, and they was talking about a lot of different stuff. But long story short, they was talking about the political risk of China invading them, and they was trying to lobby America to give them more help and being very political as far as saying like they got great relationships with Republicans or Democrats. So whether Donald Trump wins or Joe Biden wins, they still feel like their alliance to America is going to be strong. And how they had to diversify manufacturing operations because it's just too much of a risk to have everything in Taiwan. So they moved to different countries. They're looking at like Germany, America, different countries that have political stability.
They should move it to the Ukraine.
Super protected.
So TSM arms going there. Might as well put it there.
Facts.
USM.
TSM is one of these companies that been talked about a lot. So at what point does the military risk of China begin to threaten their returns if that potentially would happen?
Great question. I think well, of course, if America announces that they'll make some provisions for protection, how they have for Ukraine, then I think the stock would probably gonna go up another 500%. I've said it in Troy. This is your pick, so I won't step on your moment. I've always said that like if this risk was not there, they would be Nvidia plus for sure. This is the only thing that's holding them back. So the risk is definitely there, but I think them looking to diversify in locations. I think India would be a great location for them to potentially be in. I know that they have the partnership with us, and they're supposed to build in Arizona, right? But I think they need a military back. This is like technological wire. Like it's interesting to see that they have to pack up and go elsewhere to protect the assets that they built. But I think once the plan is announced, I think the stock will go up even more. But once again, if this geopolitical threat wasn't there, they would definitely be number one.
Yeah. We spoke about this for I think the past couple of weeks, and definitely, like I said, this is my company. Yeah, the diversification was pretty obvious. You can see it happening. You can see while they're building foundries in Arizona, and it's because number one to protect, but we want to make sure that we can have our hands on our investment. I just can't. Yes, it is an issue. China is definitely an issue. But more importantly is the global issue, right? Like if this invasion,
can't ignore it.
This affects China's business as well, right? Like we're not talking about this is only going to be a United States issue. So, I think everybody has a firm understanding of the ramifications of something of an invasion or anything like that, or remnants of that is mentioned. I love the stock. I love it, and it's trading at over 175. I remember I was telling people like, this is the stock when it was 92, when Warren Buffett went to China, and this is the first thing that he was talking about. I'm like, he's not just going there for no reason. Like, he's going and he's telling you. And the reason that they're asking him about it is because definitely, you know, they're investing in it. It's just too important of a company, especially for the landscape that where we're headed in terms of AI. Obviously, what Apple just announced with Apple Intelligence. I mean, AI is now Apple Intelligence, which is interesting.
Not gonna work this time, Apple. I love headquarters. Y'all trying it? No. And Elon is on your ass again, boy.
Oh, he looking good. It's a nice play on it, but they're at the epicenter of it. I know Nvidia leads, but when you're talking about nano chips and you're talking about the manufacturing of it, they're at the forefront. Every time I look at the percentage of market share that they have, it used to be 52%, then it's 59 and it's 62. I think at this point it's at 67%. That's just so much of a market share inside the space. They're too important. I don't want to say too big to fail, but it
because China dropped that bomb, boy. Because they are the king piece on the global chessboard. Like that's too big of a like. Imagine something happens there, and a foundry goes down, and your portfolio blows up, and then E-Trade gonna lock all the accounts. They're not playing fair.
Yeah, you're talking about. I mean, the top 4 or 5 in market cap outside of Saudi Aramco. If something is to happen to TSM, every one of those businesses are affected dramatically, immediately. Yeah.
I mean, y'all thought the COVID drop or something. Easy 25% drop in one day. The halt won't be able to fix that.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of puts. So
why ain't you? And then they're gonna be like, why didn't you tell us it was a geopolitical risk in China? I
never even heard about this.
Club smoking hookah after pink tip pause.
What does this company do again? Yeah, so it's been a great journey. Invested in both the stock and the option call. That one is almost approaching 800%. So we're about to hit 1,000 again. So yeah.
And the crazy part is, people will say maybe it's a conspiracy theory. I get that perspective, but when China's entire stock market, like, we won't even mention Alibaba anymore. Like, there are certain stocks that have been flat for about 1.5 years. China kind of needs to win that kingmaker piece on a board, to be honest, for their economy. Because if we're going to tariff them to death, they still need to offset those losses while they have a booming upper middle class and like wealthier class. You need a catalyst for wealth in the country. So yeah, I couldn't put all of my eggs in one basket. But if like TSM was in US, Jensen who?
Yeah.
So timing is important though.
Yeah, and if you look at it, every time you see Nvidia, you see Supermicro, you see AMD. They're always, you look at the value, they all lift with, right, and then you look at TSM and look at the price point for it, its valuation, like it's like the Dow of the semis right now. It's like, yeah, man, like why isn't it a little higher? But there's this overwhelming cloud of what if. So yeah, we got to monitor it. But I'm there.
China's Omar from The Wire, and TSM is that beautiful house with the stamps in it. Like, I would go all in, but I can't.
We got to visit though. We got to go to the house. I'm in the house. I just can't.
We gotta. Let me get one bundle.
Yeah.
At a time.
But
no more than that.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right. So now we're going to go to something that we haven't done in a long time, but was always a Market Monday's favorite. I think, Ian, you put together a presentation, right?
Yes. It's time to bring it back one time,
All right. Let's do it.
I am the Michael Schumacher of the Rock roster. Let's see if I remember how to do this. Microphone check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm happy to be here tonight. I love y'all. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I think that it's overdue. With all the hysteria around GameStop and AMC and other companies that are pieces of bundled dinosaur Mesozoic era bullshit, I think it's really important tonight to break down how to evaluate a company to determine if it's a 5-star investment or if we should leave it alone. So this is like my personal checklist, and then I'll go through what a great company looks like. So on the fundamental side, I want you to look at what is the year over year revenue. So this is really simple. This is one of my favorite sites here to look at. So if you look right here, you can see revenue for this company, GameStop, despite the hype, is down 15%. Okay. Secondly, I like to look at what quarter over quarter revenue is like. So one of the most important lessons in investing is to take your emotions out of it. Like one of the phrases my grandmother used to tell me and my mom and my brother is put your emotions in your pocket. And as an investor, you have to do that because you can have positive sentiment around something that's a piece of shit. Like other companies, I won't say this one is, but has not fared well, right? So if you look at what the revenue is quarter over quarter, is down 28.72%. Not a good sign. Then this is probably most important, and I should have maybe have led here. But if we look at what the profit margin is, 0.13%. And I think Roaring Kitty is an amazing marketer. But I don't care what he says. I don't want to invest in a company that gives me 0.13% profit margin as an investable asset. I really don't. And then after that, what am I looking at? Operating margin. Okay, great. Well, in this case, it's not great. Operating margin. So before I get to gross margin, which is important, and if you go to the site, it's wallmine.com, you can see all of these are in red. And if in comparison, I look at a company, let's say like one of my babies that I called Nvidia, let's look at that real quick. You can see that the metrics are in green. Profit margin is 48%. Gross margin is 72%. Operating margin is 59%. Quarter over quarter revenue up 262%. Year over year revenue is up 208%. So it gives you a quick snapshot to see if a company is good or bad. So when we go back to GameStop, we can see bloody across the board. I don't like to see this much red. Shout to YG and all the Pyrus, but I don't want to see this much red on the board when I'm looking to invest in a company. Then if I go to number 5, return on assets. What is the return I'm getting percentage wise? Great. Well, once again, not great. 0.89%. If I look at in comparison to a company like Stryker, please put it in chat. I will base my investment decision off of the numbers and not emotion. So return on asset, 8.69% on Stryker, not that good for GameStop. And I'm not here to pick on GameStop. Shout out to all the GameStop gangsters and all that, whatever, if you are in Roaring Kitty's clan, if you will. But it's not favorable. Sentiment does not change reality. And I think in this era of social media, we have to realize sentiment does not change reality. The numbers are what the numbers are. And then percentage of shortage float is number 6. Cool. Short ratio, number 7. You have to factor that in to see how many people are looking to short the stock. If we look at in comparison to Nvidia, only 1.37% of people are looking to short Nvidia. Let's look at my baby Apple. Has not done as well this year, but is up to the upside. 0.68% of float on the short side. But if we go back to GameStop, we're looking at 20%. Not the best percentage or ratio that I like. And then also too, on a business side, it's not here on this board, but write this down. Number 7, what is the what is the unbreakable competitive advantage that the company has that no one else in the world has? When you look at Nvidia creates chips that most people cannot manufacture at scale that perform the function that they can. It's kind of easy to sell discs and toys of Pikachu in a retail front. There's virtually no moat for that if you have more than $20,000, right? So what you have is an idea, you have a movement, but you don't have a solid business model to back up what you are looking to invest in, okay? So if you look at Nvidia, just for reference, and you look at the site, you can start to see, and a homework assignment, any live events like this one, you should probably check out. But go look at their blog, the reports, and see what they're looking to create to see what makes them different. If you've been a gaming fan or a fan of the products for a long time, you already understand. But I think we cannot ignore one of my most important indicators on the fundamental side is what can you do that nobody else on earth can do? For me, in investing and trading is to be able to call prices of where to invest that would give me the best return, right? So when I say Nvidia 107, 77, or the Nvidia 112, there is a reason for that. But when you look at this GeForce, RTX, which I do have in my computer, it's a hell of a performance piece of technology and marker that outweighs and beats their competition. And no one can really argue about that. So after that, of course, one of my other favorite ways to look at the market is where does that brand rank? A lot of bad investment decisions will be avoided if you just stop picking the number 7 best company in that sector. Are they number 1 or number 2? I think we can say clearly and definitively that Nvidia is number 1 in this space. Number 9, what is their percentage of market share? Which business, number 10, which business are they number 1 in or at least in the top 3? And once you go through this checklist, year-over-year revenue, quarter-over-quarter revenue, profit margin, operating margin, return on assets, unbreakable competitive advantage, short percentage of float, it eliminates a lot of the companies that are not of quality. My question for you is, will you use this investing checklist to weed out the companies that are great and the ones that are horrible, even if you see someone on Twitter or Spaces or Instagram tell you that a company is good for the long term when the fundamentals don't match at all? I mean, because if we're going to be very honest, this game isn't that hard. I get some of the fear in the beginning, but this is why I tell you guys, you deserve to be rich. You deserve to be free. But this is a simple blueprint for you to be able to follow on if you should invest in a company. Great. Number 11, did they have a superior customer experience if they are B2C, which means they sell into a end consumer or enterprise wise? Also in that consumer experience, like, does the product deliver on what they said that they're going to do or better? So when I'm talking to some of you and you're like, hey, I'm up 300%, 600% long-term only, I'm up 300,000. Shout to the gentleman that's, paid off a cattle ranch that I met this past weekend. That experience matters. And I'll say this, stop letting people confuse you just because they have access to talk to you, trick you out of your spot, and you confusing that for the real reason we're here to, and that's to get freedom and to have freedom and be able to spend more time with our friends and our family. Number 12, is the product or service superior? Yes or no? Some things are very easy in investing. Is this thing better than its competitor? Is Nvidia's chips better than AMD, even though Lisa and Jensen are cousins? Yes, Nvidia's superior. Pricing model matters. So they're able to charge $40,000 for those chips at a time when that almost seems like a discount. And if they move the price up to $100,000, not many people that they're selling to would scoff at the price. And number 15, I have to reiterate, what's the one thing that you can do or that brand can do that nobody else in the world can do? They're able to make a superior chip, get it out faster, have a better executive management team. And I keep saying that Jensen is walking into a Steve Jobs-esque or like moment in time. Other people that make chips, TSM, great company. Management team isn't as good. They got a big ass geopolitical threat that we'll talk about tonight that makes everyone afraid to invest in them as a primary asset. You don't think that has an impact on the stock? It definitely does. If they drop a fucking bomb on Taiwan or it starts to invade, it will send the entire sector plummeting. But when you're evaluating a company, before you get into the emotional aspects in any decision that you make, you need a checklist or some kind of framework like this to decide, is this person, thing, entity, investment good for me? And if that year-over-year revenue look like GameStop's or AMC's, you can't touch it just because a dude put on 2 fucking Band-Aids and he pretended like he's a retail trader while having licenses, while having worked at a firm, and while I'm not mad at him for getting a bag, but we're not going to pretend like he's purely retail. This is for those of you who still, or maybe you're new to the show and you're asked, hey, where do I get into the market? Very easy. 200-day moving average. This is a great place to get in or potentially load the boat. Number 1. Number 2, 72-day moving average, and this works for trading as well, right? Number 3, yearly open, maybe next week on next week's call for Stock Club. For those of you who join, I'll go over the yearly open and how to use that. And number 4, watch the show or join Stock Club, and I can tell you exactly where to get in. Stop confusing killing time with trying to come up with your own assessment versus being given a price that's superior. Because some of you will come to me and say, hey, this analyst said that Nvidia could get to 300. What do you think? And I'm like, well, I gave the price 2 years ago, what we're going to split to and what we should get in and get out. Those analysts not fucking with me. Humbly and graciously, right? But 200-day moving average, 72-day moving average, if you really want to get fancy, you can throw in a 400-day moving average and then use the prices here to be able to know where to get into the market. I've gone over this before, but I want to reiterate. If you don't know where to get out, either after 5 years, after 100% return, a 500% return, or hold for 30 years. The rules of building wealth are really, really simple. I don't think that you need to have a whole bunch of exits. Your exits have to either be time-based. So I want you to write in chat, are you going to have a time-based exit or percentage-based exit? I'll tell you, the people that have held for a longer period of time have gotten richer, for sure. So if you get to a place where you have a 500% return, may not be a bad time to get out, but I like the investors that are holding for a 30-year period. Some of the people, if you held the right company, trading and investing has considerable risk. Let's get the disclaimer, I got you. But some people, if you got in Monster, what is your return for a 30-year period, or your 30-year return for Amazon or Microsoft or any of these legacy companies? You have to be mindful. Economic moats that are really key on a fundamental side. Low cost of production. We talked about it even here. Some people may criticize it, but even in creating media, the media can't cost a lot. Low cost, sell it for a high price. Great. Number 2, high switching costs. So if I have an Nvidia chip, if I have to take it in to get it removed, to get an AMD chip, a Ryzen chip, or something from IBM, is going to cost me a lot. Number 3, network effects. If I get off Instagram or I get off the Apple ecosystem and I'm not able to use iMessage freely across all platforms and laptops and iPads. Hey, fellas, don't you hate it when you be on a date and then all of a sudden a memory from 2 years ago from somebody that you're not even dating, but you thought you deleted? Yeah, see, the network effects has a bad side to it, but the great side is you can tie an iMessage together from your phone and have all your data in one place. And also too, we will talk about it one day, but at some point you guys need to back up that storage because the hard drives will corrupt and go bad, and all of your pictures from your child's 3rd grade basketball game are going to be deleted. Number 5, what is the value of the brand? I want to keep making a case, Nvidia versus GameStop. GameStop is not valuable outside of the crowd who has affinity for it because of Roaring Kitty or because they made a lot of money out of it. Number 6, what is brand loyalty? Even though Apple has not done the best this year in comparison to Nvidia and others, the brand loyalty is the one thing I think that is keeping them pushing along when they would have underperformed if they were a traditional tech company. Number 7, do you have a higher retention rate? And number 8, we'll talk about it tonight in the oil and gas space, but do you have a legal monopoly? You want to be in a space where you can have a legal monopoly, not have that much regulation or lobby your way out of it. And I've talked about this before. What are the 3 most important indicators? But I want to add one to it because all of a sudden during this cycle, for some reason, they changed the terms of what a recession is. But number 1, quantitative easing. Number 2, the inverted yield curve. I guess they threw that out the window up until maybe after election. Number 3, 20 years in the market. And then number 4, one thing that I've been checking religiously is the M2 money supply. How much money is being printed and then circulated out into the economy? And when it is circulated, who is receiving that money that is printed? Some businesses did incredibly well in 2020 because money was floating around freely. And in 2024, some of the same businesses are not doing as well because M2 money supply has dried up amongst their consumer base or the enterprises that they were targeting for business. It does make a hell of a difference. So these are 3 most important indicators that I look at, but M2 money supply, since they changed the game, does matter a lot. And one of my favorite episodes that we ever did was the episode with Mark Cuban. I have to reiterate this rule. I know it's not sexy. I know every time I mention this, it gets vilified on Instagram and TikTok, but Mark Cuban has more money than I. And his rule has always been, IU legend, read 6 hours a day. You can see this. If you were reading Ray Kurzweil's prediction on futurism 8 years ago, you can see the foundation that was laid for AI, which Nvidia was able to take advantage of because of the geopolitical threat that is posed by TSM. TSM is supposed to be number 1. Nvidia is supposed to be number 3. AMD was supposed to be number 2. And AMD dropped the ball. And then TSM has a geopolitical issue. But you don't know that if you're not reading and looking into the market every single day and spending hours looking at Wall Street Journal and IBD and going through CNBC. Physical paper is better because sometimes online, some of the key information is not there or is redacted later. So hard copies and then also going through a certain amount of pages per day will make a huge difference. In my personal research blueprint, I'm marking off the buy zones for the top 500 companies that I'm interested in. So that's why if I say a company is going to drop incredibly low, I've already done the research on the company before it came in fashion. Right? Don't you find it interesting that despite all the fervor and fanfare around GameStop this time around, and Ron Kitty had 700 trillion people on one live stream, that it didn't move the stock? But if you put Fibonacci retracements on its all-time high and the low, it's just retracing back to the level that it should go to based on the buying cycles of what happens in GameStop and that sector. And then for me, I'm also reviewing the top 36 futures 7 days a week. And I think it's really important to read every book that you can on investing, everything from Sequoia Capital, everything that comes out of Y Combinator, so you can see the pipeline of where that money is circulating, where they'll have interest, and where that money will flow to. So when it becomes publicly traded, will be good. Like for Sam Altman to be involved in OpenAI and see the best creatives and best pitches and best companies for the last 10 years, do you think it's by happenstance after seeing all that data, all those pitches, what got funding, what got turned down, that when he decided to launch his own thing, that he had a blueprint or a framework to make his company number 1? That's not by fucking accident. Put it in chat. More research, less rhetoric. And speaking of sites in which you can do your research, and we shall end here, but I've missed doing these. Maybe I'm gonna get back. I'm not getting back in a suit bag every week, but I may get back in my presentation bag once a month. But if you join Stock Club, you will have this level of information delivered to you every week. Sites to do your research: Guru Focus. Number 2, Macro Trends. Number 3, Y Charts. Number 4, Portfolio Visualizer. For those of you who cannot afford Y Charts, Seeking Alpha and Koifin as a combination are really great. Number 7, Zacks. And number 8, Wall Street Zen. Are the 8 sites that I really like to do my research. But when you're going to the fundamentals, go over year-over-year revenue, quarter-over-quarter revenue, then profit margin. If the profit margin is in shambles, I don't care about who's an ambassador for it. Like, we have to look at the fundamentals and then make a decision. Is this a business that I will put my life on the line for or no? I mean, let's look at this real quick. Like, I don't mean I love Lisa. Think she's amazing. Shout out to the executive management at AMD, yada, yada, right? Profit margin is 3.77%. Okay. If you compare it to her cousin's business at Nvidia, 48%. Holy shit, hell of a difference, right? Let's go to Eli Lilly real quick. %15 profit margin for that space. That is not bad. Let's go to Nvidia and just look at profit margin. Cool. Let's go to AMC. Negative 8.24 profit margin. I don't give a damn if they give you Bitcoin with every purchase of every time you go see Planet of the Apes or the Watchers of Bad Boys 4, ride or die, go see it. It's not an ad, but even if I got one Bitcoin, I still couldn't invest in the business because of the profit margin is negative 8%. Like, it's too much red, right? I'm good. You have to look at the fundamentals of the business first before you can get your emotions tied into it. And if you do that, you will make a hell of a lot of money in this market. I appreciate y'all. I know it's been a minute since I've done one of these. If you want me to do more, please put yes in chat. And maybe I'll break one out monthly. But if you join Stock Club, you get this level of information on every call that we have. And also, you know what's happening in the future. Probably 3 or 4 months, and in some cases 2 years before everyone else does. Let's look at Pepsi real quick. Bum, bum, bum. 9% profit margin. Not bad, but it's nothing to brag about. But for their business that they're in, and also too, you got to factor in what the margins are for the sector to see if it's good or bad. But the thing that I do love about using the site, if it's green is up, red is down. It does give you an insight on if that business is good or not. And from there, you'll be okay. Let's go look at my baby real quick. Microsoft, 34% profit margin, gross margin 68%. $1.8 trillion company. Enterprise value is $3.1 trillion. EBITDA is $125 billion. Revenue quarter over quarter is 17%. Not bad for $1 trillion company. Year over year revenue is 13%. Pretty damn good. Return on assets, 19%. Return on equity, 37.5%. Not bad for a multi-trillion-dollar company that just in the last 5 years became fashionable and popular amongst their consumer base. Not bad. We have to lead with logic and not emotions when we make these investment decisions. And always ask yourself, if this was my last dollar and my life and my child's life was on the line, would I invest in this company? That'll fix a lot of your problems. Love y'all. Over and out.
Okay, there you have it.
Yes.
Excellent as always.
Outstanding. Well done.
Yes.
You know that was.
Gotta give them an assessment on how to evaluate a company, and when to get in, get back to basics.
That was something that was we did a lot in the early stages, and diehard day ones remember. So I'm sure that they are very enthusiastic about seeing the presentation,
the classic voiceover,
the education. Yeah. The education is always paramount to Market Mondays and the cornerstone of what we built it on. So that was just like a sneak peek into the brilliance of Ian, and one of the reasons why Red Panda has really become one of the leading organizations when it comes to stock market investing, trading in the world currently, and how he's been able to build such a diehard, strong, loyal community is because people actually make money. That's the number one thing, right? If you can make one rule, if you can make somebody money, then you always will be in business. So one thing is that, as I said, Market Mondays, the cornerstone is built on education. So you can watch Market Mondays every single week, and you should. And you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to make a lot of money if you execute and you follow the principles and listen to the guests that we have on, etc. But Some people want a more hands-on approach, be part of a community, actually have, more insight, more structured conversation. And that's what Red Panda provides. So we've done this a few times. We haven't done it in a few months, where we've done the Market Mondays Red Panda sale. So what this is a 3-year, this gives you 3-year access to Stock Club. That's 36 months. So you get 36 months access to Stock Club, which includes the stock picks that Ian calls with the numbers that he has it to actually buy it at. It gives your favorite short targets.
Yep.
Your favorite
short, medium, and long
target
term.
Calls. Yep. You do calls, right? Pretty regularly.
Yep, every week.
Every week, weekly calls.
Daily gym of the day in Telegram.
Access. Does this give access to Sniper as well?
Absolutely.
What is Sniper?
It teaches them how to trade the futures market, which I think is the most important market of all to be able to trade. So you not only do you get the long term, you get to learn how to trade short term as well. So while the long term portfolio is growing, you can get some cash flow trades in as well, which I'll be talking about at InvestFest. But you'll get a lot of my insights in Stock Club that I never talk about on here.
And futures is something that we haven't really spoken about a lot, but futures, we talk about options a lot, but futures is another way to actually trade the market and get outsized returns if you know what you're doing. And it's futures market 24 hours a day. And that, is one of these things where a little bit can turn into a lot if executed properly. So this is for people that are serious about taking trading to the next level, taking investing to the next level, and really, really this is like the advanced boot camp situation. And like I said, everybody doesn't need to be in boot camp. Some people, you can just go to the gym. Everybody doesn't need a trainer, right? If you go to the gym and you work out on your own, you'll be in better shape than somebody that just sits on the couch.
But if you want that next level,
me personally, I have a trainer because I know that I can't push myself further than somebody else can, right? You need somebody to kind of sit there with you, give you spot you, tell you to do this, It just works better in that situation. So if you want a trainer, if you want to go the trainer route and have the highest level of excellence, 50% off sale for Stock Club 3-year access only at IanInvest.com. Ian Invest, 2 words merged to one. Ian Invest, very easy to spell. .com, 48 hours. This is for the Market Mondays family. 48 hours. That means at Wednesday, it's over, right?
Finito.
Wednesday, it's over.
And I'll be on the beach, so don't call me and ask me for an extension. No, it will not be there. No extension. Nope.
This is the moment, ladies and gentlemen. People are getting rich. The stock market is at an all-time high. Yes. How many years can you miss your opportunity?
3 years ago, Nvidia, you'll be up 600% on the long term, and not many people talk about it. But some of my long-term returns look like option returns.
Yeah.
Wait now. And for those that charge too much, no, I don't charge enough. Name me 5 analysts that picked the ones that I picked at the time, and the one glaring loss, and then 125 big wins. Come on. If you want to get rich, preponderance of proof. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. Yes.
Love you. All right. IanInvest.com, 48-hour, 50% off Stock Club sale, 3 years access, and you will be entered right away. So
yes.
You don't have to email us
delay
or hit Magna.
Oh man.
Turnkey system, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Or me on the beach. I'll see y'all on the call every week.
Please don't. Please don't. Yeah. Let's make some money.
All right. Back to the regularly scheduled programming. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway trims its stake in Chinese EV maker BYD to 6.9%. Is this a bad sign for the EV market?
Yeah. And Elon got that big payout. Oh man, my man hit the stanky leg on stage when he got his payout. Now he's talking about robots that he want to sell for 20,000. Now I got vilified for premium pricing. He want to sell you a robot that's going to do your dishes. Okay. One day we're going to have a great conversation about the malarkey. I'm gonna clean it up because I want YouTube to strike us behind the entire EV space. Does the EV space actually use more energy? And even though it's supposed to be a sustainable option, GM is eating Tesla's lunch for car company of the year. If you're looking based on returns, I like BYD. I like the car. I like the company. But if he's trimming his stake in it, there's a reason why. And here's a note that people may want to write down. If Warren Buffett does something, it's usually because he has some inside information from Bilderberg Group, Council on Foreign Relations, or that government that we will never have access to probably 5 or 6 years later. I think the entire EV space is in shambles. And you know who helped kill it? Jensen. EV was the semiconductor space 4 years ago. Hasn't given the return. So Tesla's down. BYD, even though I think is a better company, the space overall is down. So I would be very cautious over the next couple of years if this sector is going to do well or not.
All right, so this headline might be a little bit misleading. So bad sign. Anytime you're declining a position, I don't know if it's always a bad sign. So the position that they had prior to this was it was a 7% holding, right? 7%.
Yeah.
They went to 6.9.
7.3, right?
No, 7 flat.
Okay.
It's at 6.9.
Yeah.
I'm not right. Now they bought, and he gives credit to rest in peace Charlie Munger. This was all his brilliant idea. But BYD, solid company, like you just said. They actually passed Tesla to be the number one battery powered vehicle in the world. They bought this in 2008. Since 2008, BYD has run up 600%.
Yep.
That's a large number. The investment was $230 million for 225 million shares. So they put $230 million. That's gone up 600%. They've taken some shares off the table.
When Warren starts to trim, though, does he continue to trim or then add back historically?
He doesn't add back. But he's still.
If he tells no. You're right.
Right?
You're totally right. But once he starts cutting, and it's the same thing I said about Apple. Once he hit that, like I do in my relationships. Once I start to go, no, it's over with.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to use as an example, right? If we're talking about trimming, he did trim some Apple shares.
Yep.
Not the end of the world for Apple. It's still the number one holding, right? In Berkshire.
Currently. Yep.
Currently.
Yep.
So, I mean, yes, that doesn't mean that the space is great, right? When we're talking about sales and the enthusiasm around it and who are the new innovative companies inside of it, will there be consolidation? How will the, traditional automotives react? Will they respond to, new emission legislation? All these things are varying over the next 5 to 6 years. But yeah, context is important, right? So like if we're talking about 7%, now you're at 6.9, not the end of the world, but yeah. Not the best sign in the world that he's trimming.
I'm gonna add Shadi's commentary. We will monitor the situation, and in 3 months we're gonna come back. Meanwhile, GM opened up at 35.73. They're 47, and Elon got a $59 billion pay package in the last 2 years. The stock has been down 60%.
And they was trying to get him down to what, 13 million?
He wasn't having that. Take
56 billion. Try that.
A lot of cocaine. My boy clean now. You got that payout. Hey, listen, I may have did some ketamine too if I was waiting on 55. Ooh, boy, get my money. What?
He was extremely calm about it.
The whole world on this mouse pad of a car, and y'all won't pay me? Hey, pay up. And I'm with Austin. Gotcha. Well played, Elon. Supreme hustler.
Talking about the energy sector, ConocoPhillips has agreed to acquire Marathon Oil in an all-stock deal valued at $17 billion. how will this impact the energy sector and shareholders, and why aren't you the biggest fan of the energy sector?
I don't have it. A few people have asked me this. I don't know if they are here in Texas and just love energy. I think Exxon is one of the biggest players and they always will be. I just think there's better returns elsewhere. I think there's more safety in Apple. I don't have to worry about the cyclical stuff of energy. Of course, Nvidia, AMD, is the energy sector better than the pharmaceutical sector or healthcare? No. So for me, it's not about emotion, and I think it's a really good lesson. You have to invest based on what's going to give you highest return and not based on a feeling. Now, if it was 1980, maybe I would go more energy focused, but we're not in 1980. Clearly, healthcare is having a dominant force. Semiconductors and technology are doing a hell of a lot better. I don't have to worry about the timing of it or political wars. Almost the tech sector is almost unbreakable, if you will, and those geopolitical factors are not there. So it's not that I don't like it, but I just think there are a couple of sectors that are dramatically better.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the cyclical nature of it, right? When it's in season, like for somebody that's just starting, that's tough to really comprehend and tough to follow. But there is there's something interesting happening inside of the energy sector. I'm gonna run off some numbers for you to give context to it, right? So you spoke about Exxon. Exxon purchased Pioneer for $60 billion, right? $60 billion.
Yep.
Chevron is direct competitor, agreed to take over Hess for $53 billion.
Goodbye. Yep.
Occidental Petroleum, when we just spoke about Warren Buffett, he definitely is invested in them. They bought Crown Rock for $11 billion. Diamondback Energy acquired Endeavor Energy Partners for $26 billion. So I'm seeing a lot of cash flow inside of this space, right? When we talk about operating, and we're seeing, that's the other thing I was gonna say, we're seeing a lot of consolidation, which is interesting because that is something that could be cyclical. When you start talking about different sectors, when I was just talking about the EV, will there be consolidation? The problem is inside the EV space, which is unlike this one, which is there's capital here.
Thank you. There's M2 money supply has not affected this sector at all. There's a lot of money in energy.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in it, and there's no slowdown, right? A lot of time we need to be less dominant, oil reliant. This doesn't show that. These numbers don't show that.
Less regulation. If you're gonna be honest, there's a lot of posturing around the regulation. Not really. Like a lot of these mergers and acquisitions that have happened, and it hasn't made the front page of Bloomberg or Barron's yet.
Right. I had to go look these things up. This one, like when we hear the tech acquisitions or potential acquisitions, it's always like, oh, there's a monopoly forming.
Yeah.
Like, this board is being formed pretty clearly here. There's going to be about maybe 6 to 10 of these companies that are just going to dominate.
Yeah.
And it's set up, right? They're set up to dominate for the future when you're talking about all of these mergers. And the ones I just ran off were 4 that have happened in the past probably 12 months.
Yeah.
Something
Duke Energy maybe next on if someone gets Duke Energy for a great price. Be a great steal, and we'll consolidate and see a big 4 like how we do in everything else. And then, but yeah, with tech getting all the focus and Nvidia, and it was Meta for a while, and then Apple, they've slowly, have begun to consolidate quietly. And then at some point, 2 of them will partner up and take over a Tesla or an EV space and put them underneath their wing. So, because there's money there, unlike a lot of money. Yep.
So, how much money should you be putting into the market every month?
Every single dollar. Let's be controversial. No, for real. 50%. And I've always said you have to make the sacrifice because it's the only place that you're going to be able to park money and it grow with you not having to do anything. Like I was talking to a few people yesterday at the party, and they're like, "Man, you look so happy." But I'm like, a lot of that comes from like the structure and routine that I've created. But I would be lying if just having money flowing in, regardless if I did any work or not, makes a hell of a difference. So when you have a run like Nvidia, AMD, Apple's pushing up higher, Microsoft is co-owning. Like OpenAI is the kid, and Microsoft and Apple are now fighting over co-parenting tech rights over OpenAI. What do you think that's done for my portfolio? Makes things a lot better. And if you don't find a way to put money in to work for you, you're going to end up working hard for money for the rest of your life. And hypothetically, as more of us get into the market, black and brown people, all of a sudden inflation goes up and we don't want any rate cuts. I don't think that that's happening by accident. So if you're not putting half of your money in, I think you're choosing to elect to be poor, because we haven't even hit hard inflation across every sector how we could, and I think it's going to get worse over time. But if you are here for freedom, shout out to all of you, put freedom in chat. I think if you're not putting your money into businesses that are better than you are electing to then become poor, and then there are going to be less jobs in the market for you to be able to run back to. So I think 50% is a great number for a 4-year period to be able to put in. And for those who have done it, they've made millions. Like I said, the brother I met Friday, I mean, he showed me his account, a few million in his account, looked super happy, taking care of his family, business is running on autopilot, paying his CEO $1.5 million a year off of the stock investments he did the last 3 or 4 years. If you're here for freedom, you have to put half in, or you're going to end up paying half in going out, clothes and child support from looking fly and trying to bag something. You have to pick. The half is going to go somewhere. And to the people who may be like, hey, I don't have the ability to give half, find things you can cut back on that are robbing you, and then pour that back into yourself, and you'll be A-okay.
So the goal is to try to get to the 50%. Because I would imagine the person who's just starting is like, well, how do I get to the 50? I think this is one of those.
For the fellas, I want to hear that if you got a closet full of designer.
Yeah. Well, look at what you're spending, right? Like they said, the average American family spends 30% of their income on where they live. So that's 30% right there.
Yep.
Then you talk about debt and bills. Let's say that's another 25 to 30%. Now you're already at 60%. So now you have 40 left. So what are you going to do? I always talk about an emergency fund and making sure that you hit that threshold, whatever percentage you got to do to get there. And then but
the crazy part about the emergency fund, not to cut you off, even as if you have money, people will find a way to throw an emergency on you that you do business with. Like every time I get an invoice shot of YouTube, right? The invoice come in, it's supposed to be 5,000. Then all of a sudden they get on Google and it's 18,000. Well, what do upcharges come from? Just in case for warranty support. A warranty 15,000. God damn. Okay. you gotta have a backup plan. Yeah. Great. Cool. Especially after the meeting. Oh, I love your. When they start with the I love your brand and what you doing, I'm like, damn, 300% markup. Cool.
Here you go.
Get ready for it. So every time you have an emergency fund, the emergency that comes in is always going to be over your emergency amount. That's why you have to put the money away.
Lock it up.
Yeah.
And then allocate.
Let me ask you guys
lock it up and then find allocation.
Do you hear Rich Paul talk about an emergency fund, or do you hear him talking about investing into businesses?
Yeah, I think he's
Damon John, Barbara Corcoran, Mark Cuban. They all say invest, so they don't have to follow me. But even if you save 10 grand and then all of a sudden you get into an accident and then the insurance company doesn't want to cover, now you got to pay 15 grand for a car. I'd rather have the 500, 600, 700,000 shares in the company in case the emergency happens, And trust me, I get it. I was there before too, but you have to make the sacrifice. And I know it's always controversial when I say it, but don't go out for 2 or 3 years. Sacrifice. Try it. Then you go vacation as much as you want to Tulum and Playa and France and Lake Geneva. Great. Give you options. Why are you always in Mexico? Mexico's my Miami. Now what?
It's my happy place.
This too can be you. Yes, my happy place. That's what I say whenever I get in trouble. Why are you going back? It brings me the most joy, my love. What you mean? Yeah. Quit buying them flights. You can invest half. Oh, she almost got me the other day. You don't want to see me?
Invest in yourself.
I do, but I can't break my rule, baby. Not a good return. Not a good return. Do you think I should be on Ozempic? No. Buy Eli Lilly for one. But no.
You got to ask that for real?
If you go from 160 to 120, I'm going to do a 180 on the whole situation. I'm letting you know now.
2 words. I'm going.
I'm going. Sorry. Oh, and shout out to all the black women I met at camp last night. I heard you looking for black women. Yeah, what's up?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
It's looking good on you too. Leave me alone. Not the black women. Y'all keep coming. But everybody else, leave me alone. Yep. These are just jokes in Mighty Pie South.
Thank you for the
Shout out
disclaimer.
to Fly. He like, yo. what you mean people been ghostwriting? I've been ghostwriting your material. I'm like, go with it, bro. I need you right now. Please. So
if you're convinced that the market is rigged, why don't you just invest in companies that profit from the market being rigged?
It's a great question, and there's the indexes that everyone can look at that we haven't talked about before, XBD. But I think hypothetically, allegedly, Vanguard and BlackRock may rig the market to the upside. So that's why I'm always like VO, VTI, VGT. And since they got the blessing from them as well, that's why I scream Apple and Microsoft. If you go look at Vanguard and BlackRock's holdings, Apple and Microsoft were two of the biggest ones. And I don't think that it was by accident that the two biggest companies that were backed by the two biggest companies then found a way to make the open AI partnership work with both companies. So I do like the index XBD for sure. But I think Vanguard and BlackRock have had maybe a positive influence on the direction of the market for the last couple of years. Did I clean it up well or no?
What is XBD?
It's just an index that people can invest into. It's the securities brokerage dealer index fund that people can look into. So it's a hidden gem because I don't want to keep screaming VO, VTI forever. So I think it's an alternative that people can look into if you want to invest directly into that sector. But it's a security broker dealer index that people can buy into. It would be like buying into like Bloomberg, if you will.
It's staying in it long term. I'm looking at the chart from 2000, well, from 94. I mean,
monster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when people get caught in the down cycle, right? Like, so when somebody will invest and they'll say, "Oh, well, I had a negative return on it." Well, you were in a down cycle. But if you look at
how long were you holding it?
Right. And if you look at the chart, I mean, yeah, it does have some down cycles, but the upside,
it looks like a tech stock.
I mean, it has to go up because it's a broker dealer. So unless broker dealers go out of business.
Yep. It's all upside. Like, and it's rare that broker dealers are going to go out of business. So I think it's just a good way to get exposure to the market in a subsector that's not talked about a lot. And I'll say this too, like, some of you hold on to a bad relationship longer than you will a good stock. Why? You deserve happiness, freedom. You deserve to be in a good relationship. So, like, I think I know they get mad when we talk about the relationship topics, but it's like hold quality for a long period of time. Here's a great example, like you said, since 94. And I haven't heard too many people even talk about XBD. So, getting back to the original formula of Market Mondays. You know?
Noted.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do some data to dump it.
All right, let's do it. You up for it, Ian? Pause.
Yes, I am.
All right, so you know how this works is data dump it. We're going to talk about some stocks, whether they are viable to be in a relationship with or not. Let's start with Adobe, man. They reported last week they're up 15% after their solid earnings call. They unveiled some major advancements inside of the world of artificial intelligence. We know how this goes, man. So what's your thoughts on Adobe?
I love them in theory, but gotta love you from a distance. That's my favorite line to go to. High in 22 was 669. No, 699. I mean, they've had a good rebound this year, but they're too late to the AI wave, and I'm not believing some of these AI advancements. And so when I'm looking at the space as an investor, everyone write this down. You have to decide if they're the best in that category. They're not better than Meta when it comes to AI. They're definitely not better than AMD, not better than Nvidia, not better than OpenAI. They're not better than Apple Intelligence, quote unquote. not better than Microsoft for that reason. Can't do it. Can't do it.
It feels like this is one of those companies that's going to be like directly affected when we're talking about what artificial intelligence can do as far as creation. If you think about Adobe Acrobat, and people still use the product, but
people still use it.
Yeah,
and they find a way to get that monthly fee out every month for sure.
The way people are using ChatGPT now, especially for imaging. I mean, you can see as this keeps advancing, obviously Apple's doing stuff. And if that keeps advancing, it almost becomes, do I even need this service?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't know. I think that the answer might be more people will answer, yes, I don't need this anymore. So we'll monitor that. All right, let's do ADP, Automatic Data Processing Inc. They're up 4% year to date, kind of trading sideways over the past couple of months. For those not in the know, it's a global technology company engaged in providing cloud-based human capital management. So they obviously that focuses on HR, payroll, talent, time, tax, etc. What's your thoughts around ADP?
Not a bad company. If you've held this long term, the company's done incredibly well. I don't think that they're going anywhere. But if I'm looking at enterprise, they wouldn't be the first one I would lean upon for sure. So I'm not saying it's a dump. It's in the maybe one day folder. Like I like it if I can get it maybe at 201.57. Solid company, boring business, margins are not bad. But I think there are a few companies in that space that are a lot better in overall enterprise. Wouldn't date it. Maybe. Fellas, if you get a maybe from a lady, it's a no. But I must be politically correct and say
it's not
maybe big facts. Or if they tell you maybe in a couple of months, oh boy, quit DMing. It's over with. Yeah,
not the greatest response. All right, a couple we spoke about definitely during the pandemic. Haven't brought it up too much recently. Abbott Laboratories, ticker ABT. They're down 6% year to date. Global healthcare company. What's your thoughts around Abbott? We dating, we dumping?
If I can get it at 84, I would definitely take it on the date. Definitely, I like Novo better, like Eli Lilly better, like Stryker better. But if I can get it at a price or like a low to boat price at 71, big date. But it's based on those two prices for sure. It's a lot of competition in the healthcare space. But I do think that they are promising. If you look over the long-term history of the stock, they always have done well. You're going to have a down cycle for sure, or a flat period. Normally, they'll give you 3 or 4 years where things just kind of boring, and then they'll take off. So if I can get it at 71 or 84, yeah, I'd definitely take it on the date.
All right, let's talk about CrowdStrike, man. Ticker CRWD. Shout out to everybody that was listening over the past 2 weeks, past 3 weeks for sure. Definitely everybody that was obviously in the class of a day. We spoke about CrowdStrike, the leader in endpoint security. Had an incredible earnings call again. And then when we talk about consolidation, this is another one of those spaces. When you look at cybersecurity, about 30.
You talk about it.
30 companies.
Many monopolies being built, right?
Yeah, it's like, all right, all right, we got to give some of these companies, they're all doing the same thing. Who's going to be the leader? I think Crowd has stepped up to the front as the leader. Palo Alto's probably in that conversation. Zscaler to a certain extent. They're up 55% year to date. What's your thoughts around CrowdStrike?
Definitely I'm buying a ticket. We're planning a date. I'm buying a bag. I'm love bombing. CrowdStrike, one of the ones, yo. Fellas don't do this in real life, but for CrowdStrike, ooh, been on a tear, man. Amazing company. I think they'll eventually have a mini monopoly or a legal monopoly. I mean, going back to last year when they were at 127, they're now at 386. There isn't much more to say. And it's needed. As more of these hacks happen and data breaches happen, they're going to become more important. Definitely a date.
Yeah. You look at the environment, the economy that's being built around. We talked about data centers. They're susceptible. They need security. So if there's going to be more data centers, obviously this is. Yeah, I'm with you on this. This is definitely. Did you say love bombing?
Yes, that's what the girls who are unhealed say when you do anything nice for them. That's why I don't do nothing nice. We'll talk about it on Blackout Ain't a Shotty. Oh my God, you came on.
Right,
Okay, cool. Won't do nothing.
Put the love bombing in quotations, please. This will be a segment.
Great.
Uh,
Life was a shambles, and I get you 2 little flowers from Venus Etoufflair, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Won't do nothing. Go ahead, Mama. You plan the date.
Mom first.
Yep.
Let's go to Newmont Corporation. Ticker is NEM. This is a different sector for us. Gold company, producer of copper, zinc, and lead as well. What's your thoughts around NEM?
No, it's a hell no. High was in 22, was at 86.37. It's currently at 40. Man, maybe if Roaring Kitty gets behind it for 3 or 4 days, maybe optimistic on a swing trade, but no. Not until maybe $17. And then that's technically giving it a penny stock kind of vibe. Anytime they hit those highs of like 70 or 60, they fall like 55%. I'm good on that. I don't need that kind of volatility in my life. So no, we got to dump this one.
All right, let's switch sectors again. This time, let's go to the financials. Let's go to Capital One. Ticker is COF. I mean, if you look at the 5-year chart, obviously from the pandemic when it was trading, where are we down? All the way down to what? $54.
Yeah.
Rebounded nicely post pandemic or like 2022. Been kind of trading sideways over the past couple months since 2024. We've seen an uptick. What's your thoughts on Capital One? Obviously, interest rates play a part in this, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, what are we doing here? We dating, we dumping?
Gotta dump kindly. I like the business of Capital One. I do business with them. They're cool. Thank you for all the support and yada yada. But as a stock, no. That sideways turn after, like they did great in 2021 from 38 to what 170 or something like that.
Yeah, 180 intraday, 181 intraday.
Yep. And then, like you said, they've fallen down. And you have to be very honest. Are they the best in banking? And then when you consider banking, I think although it's not a complete comparison, if we're going to talk store value, Bitcoin is a better return on investment. So if we're just looking like pound for pound, no. Maybe I would probably lean on Chase a little bit more or BlackRock if I had to make a comparison in that space. So no. If my rule of thumb is if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. So no on Capital One. It's not them, it's me. Is it in your wallet? Capital One and sponsor InvestFest and Market Mondays.
Big announcement.
Yeah, for real.
All right, man. That was about 7 we ran off, man. So every time that we're giving companies, definitely the ones that we're saying to date is if you're not invested in, definitely make sure that they're on your watch list, because every now and then you're going to see an ELF be mentioned and you're going to see an ELF run. You're going to hear a CrowdStrike mentioned and you're going to watch a CrowdStrike run. So just be mindful of that.
Yeah. And I think we batting 100% on the ones we said we'd date.
Oh, they're looking good. They're looking marriage material.
Big facts.
Shout out to all the married people out there.
Yes.
Veteran investor David Roche is optimistic about upcoming U.S. rate cuts. Do you share his optimism, and how should investors position themselves?
I don't think a rate cut is going to come until after the election, and even then, highly unlikely. We had quantitative easing for 13 years, 14 years. I think people have gotten adjusted to it. Clearly, I don't think it's going to happen before the election. I like him as an investor. I honestly don't think we'll get one. If so, maybe November, like after election, or maybe December. But then why? They've been flip-flopping on if. I remember at one point it was being reported we're going to get 4 rate cuts. And it's almost July. Not a rate cut in sight. Got stood up on a rate cut vibe. Not going to happen. I wish they would be honest about it. And I think this has kind of been priced in. And also, too, when you understand what inflation is or the rates are, that's why companies like Nvidia are incredibly important, because like, where are we going to get the gains in this new environment that we're facing? So I don't think we'll get one this year. We're going to get stood up like some dads did on their gifts for Father's Day. But maybe next year. Maybe.
The gift yourself play. Yeah, I mean, based on what all analysts are saying, you're right. I remember what started. We were having this conversation, Brian, in November, December last year, and it was like, "Oh, there's 6 races coming."
Yeah, it was like 6. It was like, oh shit, it's gonna be lit.
2024 about to be lit. And
not a knife ain't been brought out. A Ginsu, nothing.
We got down to 4.
Yes.
Then we got down to 3, and then there was some talks in April that maybe none are happening, and now it's looking like percentages are saying December there's a 90% chance. Obviously, that would be post-election, and in November there's like a 70% chance. So maybe
in time for that Christmas rally.
Yeah, maybe it's the perfect time for it. You know, we've seen how September and October have traded historically and definitely over the past 3 to 4 years. A nice rate cut around that time to help bring the market back. You're going to have an election result by that time. Christmas rally could be a good end of the year. So I will say that I believe 1 is coming. A far cry from 6.
I mean, and if the election ends up in shambles, you may need a rate cut to prop the market higher so we don't have chaos across the board. Like the Dow is dragging, NASDAQ's doing great, S&P is doing great. So like for the industrial market, you may need it. And of course, this worries about overhype of AI, and I get it. But if the election swings a certain way, you may need that rate cut to, calm people down, to let them know everything's going to be okay. But I don't see one coming. I really don't.
2% is the mark. Okay. It's going to be a while.
Highly unlikely. Yeah, it's going to be a while.
It's going to be a while.
It's going to be a while. 2%.
That's the goal. I mean, when he spoke on Wednesday, that was, the same thing. 2% is the goal. That's
like the dude that promised to grow the world and then don't ever deliver. Like, I hear you, but Auntie Shell gonna have to be in office before we get back to 2%. No.
Yeah, let's get to 4. Let's try that first.
That'd be tough in itself.
Yeah,
2% again. Oh God. Snapchat and Square definitely roar after that. Ron Kitty would be a trillionaire if we get to 2%. But
yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
So okay, the Dow has been underperforming. What do you make of that?
I think it's just been hyper concentration on tech, which I'm glad that I've pushed this initiative for a long period of time, because tech is really just my way for getting mass gains regardless of what the market is doing. And because the profit margins of the companies of most of the Dow are pretty thin, it is where it should be. Now, that's why I made the case. If Nvidia goes into the Dow, it would drag the Dow up. Now, the weighting could be an issue. I get all of that. Or if things don't pan out how they could be, but I think the Dow just hasn't performed well because the stocks in there and the classification don't allow it to, based on what sectors they're placed into. But overall, the Dow's been okay. It's been steady, but I've never leaned on the Dow as the one to give me the most gain. I've leaned on indexes for that, and that's why I have index funds as the base. So if you follow the plan, you've been great. But it's just the composition of the companies. Like it's like if in the NBA, if they took an all-star team of the oldest players versus the USA team, well, NASDAQ is a USA team right now. Like you have killers on that side, and the Dow, if you got a 30 and up team, you're not going to do as well. So it's just really the parts of it that drags it down for the time being.
Yeah, and you've had companies inside. It's 30 companies, and we've talked about the companies that are in there. Over the 6 months, it's returned 2%. You take the 2%. That's great. But when we talk about the individual companies and how they're weighted inside of it, when we talk about how Salesforce has performed, when we talked about how Intel has performed, these companies are inside of the Dow, and so it makes sense that it hasn't moved like the NASDAQ, and it definitely hasn't moved like the S&P. But it's approaching 40,000, which would be historic in itself, and I think most price analysts have it getting there before the end of the year. So we'll see.
Who in King Von's camp do I got to call to get Intel shot out of the Dow? Like, why is it still there when Nvidia and the entire sector has been on fire? They're down to $30. What are we talking about? Somebody get King Von baby mama on the line for me and get that Draco out and shoot intel out the fucking Dow. Like, can we get a meeting? Oh my God. Like,
well,
oh boy,
Nvidia being the split now, it makes more sense that it potentially it'd be something that they can look into, right? It being now 130 and not being 1300, so it can be weighted differently. That helps.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. And if they get down to $25 again, it's gonna be trouble. Can you imagine the entire sector being on fire and you're the only loser in the sector? That's like when they took away the hand check rule. Like, now you can shoot threes and you can't zone in the middle of the court and you can't hit a bucket. Man, you gotta put this enough pressure. Not fun. I do not condone violence, for the record. Shout out to everybody in Chicago. Rest in peace, King Von. Rest in peace, Duck. Chicago was in the building. Yo, Jersey was in that building going crazy last night. I don't know what they're doing in Irvington, but they probably had 39 bottles out there. That's sure. Oh my God. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Shout out to East Orange. Yeah, Jersey was in there going crazy. Yep.
Is General Motors the new car king?
I don't want to get his hot take, but for the time being, kinda. Man, I would have shaved my hair off last year if like we would have made a bet the GM would be up higher than Tesla right now. And Elon got in that office doing the Ike Turner. And here we are. Like, kudos to GM. Like, I mean, I still don't love him as a stock. The all-time high was back in 99, which is crazy. But they have rebounded well from 27. They're at 47 right now, which is amazing for them. I never would have saw the day coming. This is kind of like Tank Davis's opponent when he got caught with that little left hook at the end. I would have never seen it coming. But I think it goes to show, kudos and rest in peace to you,
man,
that when you're focused and if your enemy or opponent takes their eye off the prize, you can take pole position and end up winning. I think at a time when everyone was super excited about EV, we don't hear too much about them. The profit margin isn't good. It's 5.8%. Gross margin is 11%, but market cap is pretty good, 54 billion. Enterprise value is 42. Analysts have it going to 49. Institutional ownership is 82%. Stable business. Don't have to worry about the CEO being all in the videos or doing drugs or battling with Apple or advocating for Dogecoin. So it's been like a flight to safety for their quarter-over-quarter revenue is up 7%. Not a blockbuster business, but right now in the EV space, they're doing a lot better than Tesla is for sure here in America.
Would Tesla be the old king? If this is the new king?
Yeah. I'm interested to see. This is the real test. The boy got the 59 billion. What are you going to do now?
Oh, they think he's.
Are you really going to devote more time and energy there, or are you going to go to SpaceX, Starlink, which Starlink is a monster of a company? I don't know.
Their thoughts. I read on this. I'm like, okay, well, why? Because and I know we're switching topics a little bit, but I mean, it's all in the automotive space. The initial thought was, no way he's getting this. They didn't believe in it, and then within a week, it was, oh no, this is going to happen, and we fully support him. And now we want him to focus and keep his focus on the biggest source of his wealth. Quote, not my quote.
Well, the shareholders have always. This isn't the first time they've done this, so I don't know if people thought that the shareholders wasn't going to vote, because they historically they've done this before. So
but the stock was up in their favor at the time too.
Yeah, but I'm just saying they've never not voted against. They've never voted against Elon. Never.
True.
So it's right in precedent of what has happened historically. And he won by a majority. I think it was like 80%, something like that. So it wasn't even a close situation.
That the board voted, right?
No, the shareholders.
Oh, okay.
The board voted against. The board doesn't want him to get it. That's why I had to go to the shareholders. So once it went to the shareholders, that they voted for him to actually get it.
Well, the issue was when he had the last, I think, conference. I think it was at the Texas site. People were expressing their disappointment with the company, and so again, you had a bunch of people speaking out, and they wouldn't let him speak, and it became a thing. So it kind of felt like the sentiment was turning negative around him, but obviously not. Obviously not. 50.
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell somebody no when they got satellites that know where you live and rockets too.
You want your job?
Hey man, listen. If Tony Stark tell me, "Hey man, I need this vote for the 59," you kind of got to give it to him. So the true test is going to come now after you got the 59, though. And then he dropped the lawsuit against OpenAI.
Yeah, he did. He did drop the lawsuit. Yes.
Yep.
He said his quote was that he's a pathological optimist. That he only can
post 59 billion. Me too.
Right out. He said, I might mess it up along the way, but I always get the job done in the end.
I would pay OpenAI for pain and suffering if I got my 59 billion from Tesla. Sam, I'm sorry. Let's mend up every relationship right now. Go work on Starlink and be done. Go take over Africa and Australia and Mars. Cool. The dark side of the moon. Hey. All right, y'all can have a little car play. That global internet move that he's gonna make with Starlink, way better. Yeah. I think he's gonna learn a lot from the situation.
So I gotta send y'all the article. There was an article about Starlink. It went into a village. I believe it was.
Oh, I saw that.
Did you see it and how it ruined the village because they had never had technology
or porn? And boy, they went crazy.
Oh yeah. You saw it? Oh yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. First thing they didn't think to ban the OnlyFans site, right?
They forgot to ban Pornhub.
Human nature, boy, never fails. Never fails. One day we got to talk about private equity. Y'all going through a little crisis right now. I don't want to offend nobody, so I'm gonna wait till after InvestFest. We're gonna wait till October,
please.
KKR, and I love y'all.
Thank you, all our partners.
But November.
Maybe not. Let's talk.
Yeah, I need some more leisure.
I'll give you a list to leave off.
Yeah, I got you. Cool. I'm in a good mood, so yeah. Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about HDFC Bank versus Home Depot versus Adobe. Which stock offers the best growth potential for investors?
Analyst was making an interesting case. If you want international exposure into China, which of these three are the best? I mean, I just gave my sentiment on Adobe. I think all of these are maybe, to be very honest. And right now, international investing is very tough because of some of the geopolitical stuff. Like, I want to pick a clear winner here, but like I said, until I see Alibaba start to take off, that's the canary in the coal mine for me, or like a broad indicator. I can't look at anything really internationally at this moment because there's too many conflicts going on. Some of which we talked about here, some of which we talked about on Blackout, the BRIC situation, the petrodollar situation. We're in a gridlock. So right now I'm going to have to say none of them right now, but I would keep my eyes on that bank in China to see what they do. But Alibaba has been down since what, July of 21. So for that reason, I can't. And then we talked about it last week. If you want exposure into India, I wouldn't do the ETF route yet. I would do American companies that are multinational, that have exposure to India, like Amazon, or Walmart through Flipkart, etc. So right now I have to pass on all three, but I do think it was a great question.
You passing on all three?
Have to for right now.
Okay.
But because if it's not, my thought is always, if I wouldn't put every dollar into it, the answer has to be no. I don't think there's any in between, because not only do you lose the opportunity, let's say like for the Dow, if you're up 2%, well, you didn't technically lose money until you look at an Nvidia or a CrowdStrike or a Lilly. Now you miss that return in the capital that you could by reinvesting on a maybe. So one of the bigger themes in my life, like for sure, that has impacted me. If it's not an absolute hell yes, for sure, say no to it. Costs too much time. Costs way too much time. So no, I can't say yes to any of these. But I think the question was great. Even if you could compare it to XBD, like that stock has done a lot better than the three here mentioned. I think a great lesson for everyone that I keep mentioning, and it's not sexy until you lose. Pick the four that you're going to bet your family's legacy on.
All right. What if I did this? What if I took Home Depot out, which I think is a good company, and I put Costco there? What would you say?
You got different conversation. all Costco super date. Back to love bombing. Back to buying a flight. I'm gonna do my rollout that I did for old girl in London. You know what I mean? Off top, baby girl.
The pizza play.
Off top, you go get close to. What's up? Yes, you go to Mexico after. Man, you want me to come with? Sure, come with the whole time. Costco different.
That's one of the funniest stories, bro.
Hey, we're gonna have a talk one day. But the return on this investment will be way higher. Shout out to her. I heard her the other day too. Speaking of which, we're talking blackout one day. But Costco, yeah. Amazing investment, home run. And I think in the entire market, if we look at every publicly traded market here, London, India, Australia, China, Japan, there may be 25 mega grand slam home runs. And I think we probably call 8 of them here. Yeah, Costco's one of them for sure. Hell of a moat, great business, profit margin solid.
Run. Yeah. Run.
Yep.
So what does the so the Elon launch, we talked about the stock price, the stock package. But how does this affect Tesla's stock price?
I'm scared, to be honest, because with that kind of a payout, are you then more? Okay, I get he's trying to do the robo taxis, but then now your direct competitor is Uber. It's weird to say, but is Elon more focused than Dara right now? I can't say he is. Okay, great. Now you want to make robots. Okay, cool. General Dynamics may have you beat in that department. Now, is the branding bigger for Tesla? Yes, but what if Nvidia sees that you're trying to do them for 20, and if they make them available for enterprise for 35, now you have a big competitor that you can't beat, and you don't have the chips. So, if it gets back down to 151, I like it. Still a pick in Stock Club for sure. But based off price, I just don't see them going back up to 300. I know Kathy said there'll be a 2,000 by whatever year. Kathy, I love you dearly. Y'all team need to call me. Y'all missed out on $2 trillion by not listening since last year. Classic conversation at InvestFest, right? But I think the stock will be flat until he unveils a plan for it to. Okay, here's the crazy part. InvestFest has a better roadmap and plan given to the public than what they're going to do as a publicly traded company for these cars. What's the plan? Nvidia told us through 2028 what's coming out. What's next for Tesla? A maybe Uber competitor and maybe iRobot 3? Not going to get it done.
Yeah.
Not going to get it done. What he should do is take all the companies and merge them under one umbrella. But I know he doesn't want to do that for risk reasons. But that's the only advantage I think he would have at this time to make Tesla go up.
Yeah, so I mean, they were up today. You look at the chart. I mean, if somebody was asking you, hey, if I'm looking at the 1 month chart of Tesla, should I invest? You can't in your right mind tell them, yes, this is.
Yes.
Looking at this, if you peel back to the 6 month, again, you would tell this person, this is not a company. If I just took the name off and you just looked at this chart on the year, the 1 year, even the 2 year.
It's tough, bro.
This is prestige now, right? Like this is Tesla. They'll figure it out because we, like the shareholders, we believe in the CEO of this company. But I'm in a position. It's been flat. I mean, it's kind of been moving the same way Tesla's been moving. But there's just
even the volume on the options have dropped. That's an indicator of interest. even when Apple was flat, the volume on the options was still high. People aren't even using this to trade as much as they used to a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of. I remember there was a time when like how people were trading Nvidia. Now, you saw people in like this nonstop run of Tesla, and then it started moving all the ARK ETFs as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you believe in a CEO?
I do. One of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time, especially when he's focused and his healthiest state. But the same issues are there. I think he needs better executive management. I think the executive management that he have there is good, but he needs great to be able to go to the next level. This reminds me a lot of when Apple took the company away from Steve, but Steve was still a little bit more focused and Scully was brought in. The board reminds me of that mindset where they're just doing enough to get by, but they're not doing enough to be truly great. I think if he gets a great board that can challenge him, I think that they'll be A-okay. But a lot of times the company is just really the team that you create. And do they have one of the best management teams in all of publicly traded companies? Are they top 5? No. Top 10? I don't think so. Top 20? Is their board better than Lily's? That's tough. Things change fast. Yeah.
I'm not leaving.
Nope. No, I'm still a believer in it.
Not leaving.
But it's on price. But that $3,000 price point, not gonna happen.
That's
no.
Yeah. We gotta get to 200. Let's get to 200.
And also, it's interesting that as much as this company's falling, no one has made a bid like someone does on other properties that he never gets, so we're not going to talk about, even for the marketing and promotional aspect of it. There hasn't been one person said we're interested in acquiring Tesla. That's fascinating to me.
Yeah,
not one. You're the number one brand in the sector, and no one wants to even touch you.
I think we're going to be surprised by the quarter that they have. I think last day underdelivered on the vehicles. We still saw the stock go up after earnings. I think that the delays in the factories in China, the ones that shut downs here, and the American factories, I believe in Texas, I think that had a role to play in the production. I think they're going to have a good quarter from everything I've seen.
Elon, I'll see you in Austin on 6th Street. Don't reverse back kick me with Joe Rogan. Just let me know what the plan is for the next 2 or 3 years.
Throw it on the back of the Cybertruck for us.
Please do right in ChatGPT. Oh, he probably won't use that because he
got the XAI.
Okay.
Anybody using it? You using it? XAI?
I hadn't yet. I hadn't.
So what are your thoughts on investing in companies that have strong financials and fundamentals, but very little institutional ownership, like Novo Nordisk?
This is a great question.
It's a great question. Great question. Usually, I wouldn't if they don't have strong institutional backing. Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Citadel. But once in a while, you get one that has a hit product, or in this case, a hit drug, and you can't avoid it. So I think there's an exception, but the rule of thumb usually for me is no. I like for a company to have at least 40% institutional ownership. But sometimes you have a sector that just catches on fire, or a product that catches on fire. Novo, they have 8.3% institutional ownership. Interesting as to why. So I think people need to go do some research there. But if you compare it to other companies in the space, like Eli Lilly, they have 84% institutional ownership. I think is reflected in the stability of the price. So normally I wouldn't, but once in a while for a hit product or hit sector, I'll do it.
Yeah, I mean they have. I'm with the fact that I got to do my research on that myself. I want to know why there hasn't been as much.
I haven't been able to find a real concrete answer.
Who has the answer for that?
Yeah.
But I mean, they do have 2 products, man. When people think weight loss, the first thing you think is Ozempic. It's become synonymous with weight loss at this point. And like I said, Wegovy is, I mean, it's just as popular. I see that commercial every morning as I'm watching the news. So you have two star products. We talk about Eli Lilly all the time. Moderna, it's kind of brought up, but Eli Lilly, obviously, I mean, the support that they have. I want to know. I actually have to like really do the research, and I'm sure
I've been digging. I can't find a real. I've seen some like opinion pieces, some op-eds, but there isn't a clear reason why they don't have more institutional ownership. For like context, Nvidia, 64% or 65% institutional ownership. Like for them to have 8 and have a hit drug and a darling in that stock market is pretty interesting.
Yeah, you'll see that, and inside of these big tech companies, you definitely will see the financial institutions that you just spoke about. But that percentage is usually between, if not 50 to 75% more. So
yeah,
this is I'm pretty sure we'll get an email about this after the show. Somebody's gonna text me. Here's why, guys.
Hopefully it's a kind one. Yeah, Stryker, like in comparison, 78% institutional ownership. They have a blockbuster, like they made a sector popular. When weight loss drugs like this normally don't work. Now, of course, there's a ton of risks that come with them and side effects, but the results are there. So I think it's interesting. They haven't gotten that back in yet. So
there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
The OPEC
Market Mondays. Don't forget 3-year access to Stock Club. 50% off, 48-hour sale. IanInvest.com. IanInvest.com. That gives you access to Stock Club for 3 years. That gives you access to Sniper trading program. That gives you access to the top picks, weekly calls.
Daily gym of the day.
Yeah.
Invites to stuff like Red Panda Weekend, some conspiracy, but also too like presentation, this kind of information that I broke down tonight. Those are on Stock Club call. It may not be like in presentation form, but this kind of information, hard-hitting information is given every week as well. Also, like my favorite research sites to be able to use and look this stuff up on your own are included. So
there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to take your trading and stock investing portfolio to the next level, IanInvest.com is the place to go. 48 hours only. 48 hours only, 50% off, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody, take advantage.
You guys got an eventful week. Any announcements or no?
I'm going there. Take advantage of the opportunity, the offer in front of you. Juneteenth is this week. So I want people to, obviously it's a federal holiday now, but understand the meaning of it and why it became a federal holiday 2 years ago. So understand that. And I know there's a lot of celebrations going on throughout the country. And I think we got something that's happening this Sunday. I think we're gonna be honored this Sunday in the town. So shout out to I think the AKAs again for acknowledging us for the work. And yeah, Travel Mercies. We'll be heading out of town tomorrow to do research and development. So pray for traveling mercies for us, y'all.
Yes. When Rashad doesn't like show gleeful face after the traveling mercies, a good time's on the way. I'm giving you all the tales this week, right?
I'm sure you'll see all about it.
Yes. Parlez-vous?
Yeah. So au revoir for now. And blackout Wednesday. Earning leisure tomorrow. Make sure y'all tap in IanInvest.com right now. Head over there and start your financial journey. Love is love.